Welcome back, everybody. This is the final video of the Healing Trauma series. And of course, we are going to talk today about what we can actually do with our trauma. So, if you have realized that you have trauma in your life or you are traumatized, the question, of course, is then what can we do with it? People have been asking me recently, saying things along the lines of, even the word trauma is traumatizing to me. I have so much of it and I don't know what to do. You might say, I'm depressed, I'm scared, I'm angry, the world is crazy, nobody understands me, and I have no idea how to navigate this. And this isn't completely out of the ordinary. In fact, this is how a lot of us feel, and it's been how I felt for much of my life too. So let's jump in and start with what can we do? Remember, trauma is not the thing that happened to us. It's how we adapted and responded to the thing that happened to us. And so if you have a pattern of something like suppressing your emotions or masking how you truly feel, we have to look at this theme, this dynamic of suppression. What caused the need to suppress to begin with? The pattern often looks something like, when I feel emotions, I get overwhelmed. I don't know what to do with them, and they threaten my relationships. So I either end up alone or I end up in conflict. That's why I suppress them. It's easier to keep these hidden and buried rather than dealing with the consequences of the emotions because I don't know what to do with them. This is just one example, but this application can be used to many. So if we want to do something with this pattern, regardless of what it is, the first thing that we have to do is learn to recognize and identify the pattern. If we want to work with it, if we want to heal it, if we want to start to choose something new, the first thing we have to do is recognize it. Coincidentally, the very nature of suppression is one of denial. Something is here, I don't like it, I try to bury it and pretend that it doesn't exist. But if we're trying to pretend that something is not here and we're denying its existence, we are unable to work with it. We can't even see the thing clearly enough to actually engage with it, let alone heal the thing or choose something outside of it. So that's the adaptation. At some point, we learn to suppress our emotions because it was safer than feeling the emotions. That became a pattern that offered us short-term relief, but caused suffering in the long term. So our work here is to learn how to recognize and identify these emotions and then learn what to do with them, learn how to process them, learn how to express them in healthy, constructive ways, and ultimately learn how to comfort and soothe those emotions. So if we can learn to recognize the pattern, then we can learn to do the things that we need to soothe that pattern. Awareness is the prerequisite for choice. And so if we relied heavily on suppressing our emotions and never learned how to process them or express them or soothe them, what we can say here is that those emotions from the past still live inside of us. And that's what's coming up when we're feeling these patterns of trauma. It's a triggering of a pain from the past. For instance, we might be sitting in a peaceful room all by ourselves, and then there might be an onslaught of overwhelming emotion. We might have panic, anxiety, fear, anger, all of this coming up, nothing to do with anything that's around us. Where's it coming from? It's coming from the past. There's still a version of us who carries this pain around, and that's what's showing up in the present. In other words, this is a signal, and it's asking us for something. So if we want to make some choices in terms of what we're going to do with this, let's start with recognizing the pain and then building a relationship with it. We can ask things like, how often do I feel this? Does it come up every day? How far back does it go? When can I first remember feeling this pain? And of course, when I was feeling this pain, what were the things that were happening? In other words, what did I need that I didn't get when this pain first arose? That question and that answer is the key that's going to unlock the door in terms of what we can do with this trauma. So when we look at the things that we needed that we didn't get, The vast majority of us experience trauma, not again because of the thing that was happening, although that plays a big role in it, but the fact that we were alone with the trauma. We didn't have anybody there to go through it with us. We went to our parents and we told them, and they said, don't worry about it. It's nothing. There's nothing to be scared of. Or if you're going to cry, I'll give you something to cry about. So we learned that expressing the emotions in lots of ways, not just what I just mentioned, but in a whole array, can actually make our situation more unsafe. And so we learned to bury our emotions. Coincidentally, this process of burying our own emotions, denying their existence, we're treating ourselves the exact same way that we were treated when the pain arose. So if we want to heal this thing, we have to step outside of that pattern. If we don't, we stay in this negative feedback loop of I'm in pain because I was all alone and nobody helped me go through the difficulties in life. So I ignore the difficulties and pains of life, which then creates more pain, and round we go. And so the task becomes becoming the person that I needed that I didn't have. Can I be present with my emotions? Can I learn to recognize them? Can I accept them? Can I understand them and build a relationship with them, and ultimately provide myself with the things that I needed that I didn't get? Can I learn to soothe my emotions on my own, again, in healthy, constructive ways? When we can go back and heal and process these old residual pains and traumas and emotions that still live inside of us that have been ignored or suppressed, then we can build the capacity to do that in real time. In other words, we stop adding to the reservoir of trauma that is stored up inside of us, all of those repressed emotions that haven't been processed. Once we process those, we stop adding to it. And then we can process emotions and express them and soothe them in real time. So learning this skill is crucial for recovering our ability to navigate life. This means that with this skill, we can take an honest and truthful inventory of the way that we live life, especially the unconscious patterns that we continue. Here we can start to make a choice. Are we going to continue those patterns? Does this pattern flow through us onto others, or does this pattern end with us?